I reckon the most obvious, demonstrable ism that exists in Australia is ageism, right? So sexism, racism, ageism. The attitude towards people of a certain age, and that age is increasingly getting younger, is horrific. You know it as somebody who may have been on the long-term unemployed list. You know it as somebody who might be in an organisation, but your progress stopped at a certain age. Well, there was an interesting thing from the Human Rights Commission today that says 60% of Australians agree that they may have stereotyped people or made assumptions about people because of their age. The report is, what has age got to do with this? Christy, I think this is the slam dunk most obvious ism in Australia. We don't talk about it enough, and we do bugger all to change it.
No, we don't talk about it enough. And I know in our industry, Paul, in media and communications, there's a lot of ageism and there's a lot of people, PR firms, advertising firms, media firms, only wanting to hire people that fit a certain image and a certain demographic and a certain look. And also there is a perception that younger people will work for nothing and do whatever it takes to get a foot on the ladder, whereas someone who might be older and a bit more skilled is going to ask questions around perhaps being entitled to fair pay for fair work. So that's a part of ageism in the media and communications industry, magazines and fashion as well, that is absolutely rife. And of course, as I've said, people want people to look a certain way. But there are so many isms in terms of discrimination of hiring practices, and we need to get better. Older people make a fantastic contribution to our workforce. People are going to work longer and longer than previous generations, and I think workplaces need to adapt and people need to adapt their attitudes.
Now, also, it's this thing, Holly, where because ageism doesn't come with a ribbon, it doesn't come with a hashtag, it doesn't come with sort of sexiness that insert other causes do, it just floats to one side. But we know that, and this is why I was such a supporter and still remain such a supporter of JobKeeper, right? Which is, the older you are, when you go on the unemployment queue, the longer it takes to come back if you come back from it. That's why if you had a way to keep people of a certain age in their job, it meant we avoided that, and it is to the eternal credit of everyone behind it. But how do you feel about ageism in Australia and about genuine attempts to actually do something about it?
Look, I think Kate Patterson's doing a fantastic job when she's starting to talk about aged people and people ageing through Australian society and how we need to keep them engaged with the workforce and keep options open to them. But I do think this is one of those isms, if you like, that has applications almost across the board because, I know there's people that don't want to hire millennials because there's a real attitude around what millennials expect when they come into the workforce. These are some of these kids that went through school where there were participation awards. So everyone wins a prize. These guys have never had to compete for anything because no one ever said no to them. And then you've got ageism when it comes to women in their sort of late 20s through to their mid-30s, 40s, because, they might go have a baby, so we need to have a look at that. So ageism isn't just about people that are over a certain age. I think there's attitudes across the workplace towards different cohorts that are very stereotyped and not always applicable to every single possible employee you could have. So we do need to try and start to encourage people to look at the individual. There are millennials that you wouldn't hire or, put water on if they were on fire. There's older people who do think that they can contribute more than they probably can. But by the same account, there's others that are absolutely brilliant on every front. And so these isms, I think, and stereotype around what group someone falls part of, whether they're Gen X, Gen Y, boomers, whatever it is, we far too easily put those tags on. And I don't think it's really doing anyone any justice.